recorded live in beautiful Colorado, USA. Broadcast around the world. You're listening to the Quarterly Review Podcast, produced by Three Angels Message Ministry. Your host is Tamara Rookdashel.
Welcome to the Quarterly Review Podcast, produced by Three Angels Message Ministry. I'm your host, Tamara Rookdashel, and today is Monday, September 23rd, 2019. We're on Lesson 13. This quarter's been titled The Least of These. Today is titled A Servant Remnant. Let's begin with a word of prayer. Good morning, Father. Today I want my prayer to reflect the song that goes, "Make me a servant, humble and meek. Lord, help me lift up those who are weak. And may the prayer of my heart always be, make me a servant, make me a servant, make me a servant today." If this was the cry of every heart on earth, well, I suppose I could quote another old song. What a wonderful world this would be. Send us as emissaries. In Yeshua's name we praise you, love you, and thank you. Amen. Monday, September 23rd, a servant remnant. The standard definition of God's remnant people identified in Bible prophecy is found in Revelation chapter 12, verse 17. Those who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is quoted from New King James Version. See also Revelation chapter 14, verse 12. In the Bible story, these features mark out God's people in the later stages of Earth's history. But also, in the Bible stories, we can find examples of how such a remnant acts, and particularly how such people serve others. Consider the example of Moses in this regard. I will read Exodus chapter 32, verses 1 through 14. When the people saw that Moses was so long in coming down from the mountain, they gathered around Aaron and said, "Come, make us gods who will go before us. As for this fellow Moses who brought us up out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him." Aaron answered them, "Take off the gold earrings that your wives, your sons, and your daughters are wearing, and bring them to me." So all the people took off their earrings and brought them to Aaron. He took what they handed him and made it into an idol cast in the shape of a calf, fashioning it with a tool. Then they said, "These are your gods, Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt." When Aaron saw this, he built an altar in front of the calf and announced, "Tomorrow there will be a festival to the Lord." So the next day the people rose early and sacrificed burnt offerings and presented fellowship offerings. Afterward they sat down to eat and drink and got up to indulge in revelry. When the Lord said to Moses, "Go down, because your people, whom you brought up out of Egypt, have become corrupt. They've been quick to turn away from what I commanded them, and have made themselves an idol cast in the shape of a calf. They have bowed down to it and sacrificed to it, and have said, 'These are your gods, Israel, who have brought you up out of Egypt.' I have seen these people," the Lord said to Moses, "and they are a stiff-necked people. Now leave me alone, so that my anger may burn against them, and that I may destroy them. Then I will make you into a great nation." But Moses sought the favor of the Lord his God. "Lord," he said, "why should your anger burn against your people whom you brought up out of Egypt with great power and a mighty hand? Why should the Egyptians say, 'It was with evil intent that he brought them out, to kill them in the mountains, and to wipe them off the face of the earth'? Turn from your fierce anger, relent, and do not bring disaster on your people. Remember your servants Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, to whom you swore by your own self, 'I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky, and I will give your descendants all this land I promised them, and it will be their inheritance forever.' Then the Lord relented and did not bring on his people the disaster he had threatened." What is the comparison between Moses in this story and the remnant described in Revelation chapter 12, verse 17? In his anger at the people of Israel, God was threatening to destroy them and transfer the promises given to Abraham, that his descendants would become a great nation, to Moses and his family. That was found in Exodus 32, verse 10. But Moses didn't want that. Instead, Moses had the boldness to argue with God, suggesting that for the Lord to act as he was threatening to act would make him look bad. Exodus 32, verses 11 to 13. But when Moses went further and put himself on the line to urge his case with God, Moses had been struggling to lead these people through the wilderness. They had been complaining and bickering almost from the moment he led them to freedom, and yet Moses says to God, "If you are not able to forgive them," quote, "then blot me out of the book you have written," end quote, Exodus 32, NIV. Moses offered to give up eternity to save those with whom he had shared his journey. What a powerful example of self-sacrificing intercession in behalf of those who don't deserve it. And what a powerful symbol of the entire plan of salvation. Quote, as Moses interceded for Israel, his timidity was lost in his deep interest and love for those whom he had, in the hands of God, been the means of doing so much. The Lord listened to his pleadings and granted his unselfish prayer. God had proved his servant. He had tested his faithfulness and his love for that erring, ungrateful people, and nobly had Moses endured the trial. His interest in Israel sprang from no selfish motive. The prosperity of God's chosen people was dearer to him than personal honor, dearer than the privilege of becoming the father of a mighty nation. God was pleased with his faithfulness, his simplicity of heart, and his integrity, and he committed to him, as a faithful shepherd, the great charge of leading Israel to the promised land. End quote. Patriarchs and Prophets, page 319. What does this tell us about how, to the degree possible, we should deal with the erring around us? I always think of that old statement, hate the sin, but love the sinner. We hope you enjoyed our review of today's quarterly lesson. Please look up the Bible text in your own Bible if possible. There's a great blessing to studying the Word of God alone or in a group. We've made available a free PDF download of just the questions for each week, available within our blog posts. These are a great addition to keeping a spiritual journal of what God has done in your life. Also, writing down your answers to the questions gives them a chance to inspire further thought, to inspire action, to inspire change in your life and the lives of those around you. Please visit us online at www.3am-ministry.org to see what other services we offer and to become involved in the conversation within our forum. Additional copies of the booklets can be ordered from our resource library. You can also access, download, or purchase materials we reference in our podcasts, videos, or PDFs on that page as well. If you're also looking for groups in your area that are studying with us, we can provide information to connect you. Please hit follow, like, or subscribe on the podcast page you are on so you can receive up-to-date podcasts and access to all of our services. We look forward to connecting with you online in the future and in God's kingdom.
Thank you for joining us today. To find out more about our ministry, listen to older podcasts, read additional articles, join our forum, access printable PDFs, or order your own published quarterly booklet, please visit us online at www.3am-ministry.org. Have a blessed and prosperous day.